Music for this episode of About to Break is provided by Cat Beach Music. Whether you're looking to score an entire film or just need to find the perfect vibe for your next commercial project, our friends Bobby and Jen Hartree have what you're looking for. Check them out today at catbeachmusic.com. Welcome back to About to Break. This is episode 94. I'm your host, Taylor Hughes, and this is the show where we talk to artists and entertainers about the ups and downs of life in the entertainment business. You know what? Right now, I want to talk to you. Okay, so no one else listen. This is just for you. Hi, artist. Hi, creative individual. Hi, wonderful, amazing person. How are you doing today? You know, it's an up and down journey. It's a roller coaster. How's today for you? Is it good? Is it challenging? Are you encouraged? Are you discouraged? Look, wherever you're at, whatever you're feeling, you're not alone. That's the whole point of this show. A couple years ago, I was traveling a lot. I was on the road. I was trying to make a living full-time, trying to support my family, and I'm still trying to do all that. But a couple years ago, I was trying to do it alone. And I can tell you that there's something about solidarity from other performers, something about hearing from other artists and other creative individuals and other entrepreneurs who just share the journey, the ups and downs, the roller coaster that it is to be in a business that you love, to do something that you would do honestly for free, and at the same time to try to pay the bills in the process. And I just want to encourage you, wherever you're at today, you're not alone. There's others who have been there. I hope that these conversations on this show are an encouragement to you. And I can tell you personally, this has just been an encouragement for me, this journey of documenting these conversations. I'm so grateful for all the incredible artists and amazing people who have been on this show. And I just wanted to take a minute and to thank everybody. Thank you for allowing me to do this. It's something that I'm incredibly passionate about. And the fact that you would download it and listen to it is just a true joy. Okay, I'm going to stop getting choked up here, guys. I'm getting a little emotional. I'm right now at a DoubleTree Hotel in Albuquerque. Have you ever stayed at a DoubleTree? They're not a sponsor of the show, but I got to give them a shout out because when you arrive at the DoubleTree Hotel, they give you a warm cookie. I don't know if they have like a heater oven or what's going on under the counter of the hotel, but the wonderful lady who checked me in at the hotel was like, "Would you like a warm cookie?" And I don't know if there's another answer to that question other than yes, I will take a warm cookie anytime. And she reaches down and pulls out a warm cookie out of like a cookie holster. I don't know what was going on. It was amazing. She just produced a warm cookie on demand. And to me, that was like seeing a magic show for the first time. So I'm here at the DoubleTree. I'm doing a show tonight, doing a show tomorrow, and then I head back to Scottsdale, Arizona, where I was at just a few days ago. I do a wonderful event for a great organization there for 4 days, going to be emceeing and performing. And then, let's see, I'm home for like 10 days in a row. I'm so stinking excited. Last week, the family was with me. This week, I'm out on my own, and I miss them terribly. I'm grateful. I'm forever grateful that I get to do what I do for a living. But it's also there's no place like being with your family, and I'm grateful that when I'm not with them, I at least get to meet some wonderful people and do some incredible shows. So I don't know why I'm feeling real grateful today. Today is I guess we're coming up on Thanksgiving. Can you believe it? Halloween is today. Thanksgiving is almost here. A couple of live shows I'll mention to you. If you're in the Lake Tahoe area from November 15th to November 20th, I'll be performing back at the Loft. I was there last month for my first time, and I had an absolute blast. Such an incredible place, man. If you've never been to the Loft, or if you've never been to Lake Tahoe, do yourself a favor. Come to Lake Tahoe, go to the Loft, and you'll be glad you did. It's absolutely gorgeous. Man, what a beautiful, beautiful place. And then, let's see, that's the 15th through the 20th of November. I'll be at the Loft. And then November 26th through December 2nd, I'll be back at the Magic Castle. And I hope to see lots and lots of friends there. And then I'm home most of the month of December. Lots of shows, but home. So I hope that the holiday season is treating you well. I hope that you're gearing up for the winter or the fall. I can't ever tell. Being from California, I don't know what season it actually is. If this is fall or if this is winter. It was like 90 degrees 2 days ago, and it's just sad. I'm ready for leaves to fall. I'm ready for some winter weather. Okay, I've been gabbing on enough. Let me tell you about this week's guest. This week's guest is Bruce Scott. Bruce is one of my favorite people in the entire world, and we've been trying to set this up for a while. We're really good friends, and yet we most of our conversations are through text or a phone call. We get to see each other a couple times a year, and we work on different events together. But he's got a crazy travel schedule like I do, and we talk about that on the show. We talk about his incredible life, such an interesting upbringing that Bruce had, and also a wonderfully eclectic career. He's done everything from pastoring a church to being Johnny Cash's bodyguard. He's sold movies, and now he works with this incredible organization that I'm happy to partner with that basically raises funds for nonprofits and people doing incredible work all around the world. And they basically they put on these incredible events that raise insane amounts of money for people. And I'm so grateful that I connected with this organization, and it led me to a great friendship with Bruce Scott. I think you're going to get a lot out of this, whether you're an entrepreneur, an entertainer, an actor, a musician. There are things that Bruce shares about his journey and his perspective on life that I know are going to be an encouragement to you. They were absolutely an encouragement to me. Sit back, relax, and enjoy episode 94, my conversation with Bruce Scott.
No, I'm not a writer.
Okay.
Something is about to break.
Hey everybody, welcome to About to Break. I'm your host Taylor Hughes, and I am delighted to be sitting down right now in my favorite place to visit. Not Scottsdale, Arizona isn't my favorite place, but this is my favorite resort I've ever been to. And I'm sitting down with one of my favorite people in the entire world, Mr. Bruce Scott.
Well, thank you, Taylor. I think I'm excited to be here.
We've talked about this for a while, and we've tried to pull it off a few times, but you and I both have, I think, the world's craziest travel schedules.
Yeah, there may be only one or two other people that spend as much time in airports as we do.
Yeah, it's hilarious that 90% of the time when I see a post that you're putting out, or you and I are crossing paths.
Yeah, really the only thing interesting in my life is that I'm going from one place to another.
Please.
So.
We are here right now. We're doing an event together, and Bruce and I work together quite a bit, doing incredible events that help a lot of people, and I want to talk about that at some point here, but let's let people know a little bit about Bruce Scott. Where did you get started in life?
Yeah,
where were you born?
I guess the story begins in the beginning.
That's a good place to start.
Yeah, I was born in North Carolina, a town called Greensboro.
Okay,
and
Greensboro, isn't there a Greensboro, South Carolina as well?
It's a Greenville, South Carolina.
Greenville, there you go. Okay,
yeah. And there's also a Greenville, North Carolina.
It's confusing.
And by the way, nobody down there says Greenville.
What do they say?
Greenville.
Greenville.
Yeah.
I was on a plane yesterday with a lady from New Orleans.
Yeah.
I can't even say it.
Nolans.
Yeah. Nolans.
Yeah. N-A-W.
Not New Orleans.
No, Nolans.
Nolans. Yeah. So you were from North Carolina.
Yeah. Lived a lot of places. We counted up one time. I went to 23 schools before I graduated from high school.
Why was that? Was your father in the military, or?
I tell people we were gypsies.
Okay.
You know,
kind of nomadic lifestyle.
Yeah. We really went primarily between three or four areas.
Yeah.
Richmond, Virginia, the Hampton, Newport News, Norfolk area of Virginia, to Greensboro, to Greenville, South Carolina.
Okay.
And so we were back and forth in those areas a lot. Had family in most of those areas. And my dad, in the 50s, 60s, we didn't live in the high-tech world we live in today. And so having some significant training wasn't quite as required as it is today.
Okay, yeah.
And he did a lot of different things in my lifetime. Most of the time, he drove a truck.
Okay.
When I was 10 years old, he started driving and did that most of.
Like long haul routes, or where was he going?
Yeah, his first job was with a company called McLean Trucking.
Okay.
And he would leave home. They'd call him. He had 2 hours notice to get ready and get to the terminal. And then he would be gone for 3 days, typically come home, go to bed, sleep for 6 hours. The phone would ring. They'd call him, be back in 2 hours, and he'd be gone again.
And he kind of just had to go when the money came, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. So he was gone a lot. They had what they called doubles, and so there were two men in a truck, and so they would swap off driving.
They could just keep driving.
There was a sleeper in the truck. One of them would be sleeping while the other one would be driving.
Wow, that's kind of lonely, because even though you're there with someone else, you're
Yeah.
either sleeping or driving alone. You know?
Yeah, I don't know. I never did that, but that was his life for a long time.
And what did your mom do? Was she working or was she staying home? What was?
Mostly stayed home. There was occasion when she worked, but mostly stayed home. I was born when they were very young. My mother was 16. They got married when she was 15.
Wow.
And my dad was 19 when I was born.
Wow.
So in many ways, we grew up together.
Yeah.
You know, they were like, I mean, I know people who have children that have that wide an age span.
Right.
So, you know, a lot of issues that came along with that,
Yeah.
but, and sometimes those issues impacted our moving, but it was, you know, we lived in a lot of different places and a lot of different, homes and styles. I remember, not long ago, several years ago, but not that long ago, I took Angela, my wife, to see one of the places that we had lived down in the Hampton, Newport News area of Virginia. And when we drove up, I couldn't believe how small the house was.
Oh, you just remembered it being much larger?
Well, it wasn't that I thought it was a big house, but I didn't know it was the size of a garage.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it was, I don't know if it was subsidized. I don't think so, but it was a community and all the houses looked alike, you know, kind of thing. And they were all these little postage stamp houses. And
how many people did you have living in it?
There were 5 of us.
Wow.
My mom and dad and me and my 2 brothers. It was 2 bedrooms.
Okay.
So my brothers and I shared a bedroom. And mom and dad had a bedroom. I think one of the things I remember about it was the TV.
What's that?
It was just, you know, black and white TV and you know, the little screen and,
did it have to warm up?
Oh yeah.
Little tube TVs.
And, you know, certain shows that we watched every week.
Yeah.
Sunday night was the Ed Sullivan Show.
Oh yeah. This is appointment TV. This is when you had to make plans to not be home. You had to be home when you'd miss
absolutely. Remember watching, and of course this was, probably pre-Beatles. Let's see. No, I was 10 years old. So that was about Beatle time. Because that would have been about 1963, 1964. And so, you know, I remember watching Ed Sullivan introduce the Beatles.
Oh, my goodness, the
first
first time. And then after that, it was just insane.
Yeah. Yeah. I was a big Beatle fan, loved it.
I try to explain to my daughters, you know, they're 10 and 13, and you know our girls, but they can't fathom that you would have to, that TV would happen at like 8 o'clock on a Friday.
Right.
And if you didn't see that, you had no thought that you would ever see it again. It was like, you know, we had no, unless you videotaped it, or you had the, you know, the VCR we had when I was a kid, but like, if you missed it, you missed it. And then you go to school and everyone would be like, oh, did you see this? And you'd be left out.
But, you know, we didn't know any different.
No.
And so we didn't really think about it.
Right.
I was in Ecuador a number of years ago, and we were in this village, and I watched these kids play soccer with a soccer ball that didn't have a cover on it.
Okay.
It was the
like the inflatable
wrapping
part. Yeah.
The wrapping part of it. And they were kicking, they were laughing and having the biggest time. And I just thought, those kids don't know what they don't know.
Right. They don't know that they don't have Netflix.
Yeah. Yeah. Or a Wii.
Right. Yeah.
You know, or an Xbox. and they were happy as a lark. And I remember thinking, man, when I was a kid, I didn't know what I didn't have. We were really poor. And my first bike was a girl's bike, but I couldn't have been any more excited. My dad bought it at a used bike shop, and it was my bike. I had a bike.
Yeah.
I didn't know that kids got new bikes. I thought everybody got a used bike. I remember I was talking to my mom the other day about times when we didn't have heat in the house. And so she would turn on the oven and she would hang a sheet over the door to the kitchen.
Yeah.
Turn on the oven. And we would sit in the kitchen, talk, whatever.
Yeah.
And that's how we stayed warm.
So I have not thought about this in years, but my mom used to do that we had a one wall unit AC when I was a kid. And our house was built in 1901, no insulation. And she would hang sheets up to block off that living room with these sheets. And I remember the sound of it. I remember the smell of it when it would turn on because we hadn't used it all winter. And then it would kick on and you just feel this cool air. And it's crazy. I never once thought we don't have central air. We don't have,
I remember laying in bed at night. Our air conditioning was a window fan.
Okay.
And the window fan didn't have a screen on both sides.
One of those death fans, those metal ones where you put your finger in there, you're going to have one less finger.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I remember laying there, it'd be really hot, but there was not one time that I thought, some people have air conditioning.
Right.
Just, you just went to sleep. It was hot.
Yeah.
You woke up the next day and it was hot, but it was life.
Yeah, I think about this all the time. I mean, I just got the AirPods, the little, and I'm like, these are changing my life. Like, how did I ever live without this? And then I'm looking now I'm going to the airport and I've got my phone and I got my laptop and I got my Bluetooth headphones and I got my all this stuff, and then I've got extra batteries for everything and extra cables, and I'm just like, is this really helping me live a better life than if I just?
Well, I think technology, just from my own perspective, Taylor, is I love technology. I'm an early adopter of technology.
Oh, yeah.
And if I lost my phone, would be worse than losing my billfold.
Right. Because
my whole life is in this phone.
Right. Oh, yeah.
It connects to my computer. It connects to my iPad. And I've got a desktop Mac at home. It connects to all of it, but this is the heart of it.
Yeah.
And some people, they criticize that, but I tend to think that managed appropriately, it's a big help.
Yeah. It's a tool. It's like any tool.
Yeah.
You just got to treat it responsibly. And
you were talking last night about knowing a day before Google or before the internet. And of course, I lived a long time before the internet, but I love being able to drive down the road and Angela and I talk about something and say, I don't know, but look it up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because the world is really at your fingertips.
It is.
And how cool is that? I mean,
it's crazy.
When you grew up, maybe you did, I don't know, but for me, if you were fortunate enough to have an Encyclopedia Britannica.
Oh, yeah.
You had a little glimpse of some of the world.
Right, yeah.
But outside of that, what did you know about any place other tan where you lived?
Yeah. We would go to the local library. I mean, for book reports and Scar for, social studies reports. We'd go. I remember doing a report on the Amish, the Pennsylvania Dutch and the covered bridges. And I went to the library and I got this book and I'm reading. And I had no idea that this culture even existed. And now you're learning all this stuff about it. But how else would you know back then? You know?
Yeah. And you could, right now, you could go out and find out history of those Amish communities. You could find out some of the major events that have occurred in them. I mean,
right.
Some of the major characters in those, some of the challenges they faced.
Yeah.
All of that kind of stuff. And for me, I love that. I love what technology and information has done for us.
Yeah. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. I'll stop complaining about my backpack being heavy.
Well, I've got a whole section of my backpack that's got cords and batteries and all that kind of stuff in it. So
I was laughing the other day. I was pulling out because I have my podcast gear too in there, and I'm pulling out. I'm like looking for one cord, and I'm going through like 20 different cords. Like, nope, that's not it.
Wouldn't it be nice if they would all have the same connection?
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah.
I don't know why there's different ones. I mean,
well, I can tell you because there's one particular company that both you and I use,
right,
that does it on purpose. So you have to buy their cord.
Oh yeah, I bought a new one of those computers you're talking about,
yeah.
and it no more USB, right. No more anything. You gotta have a new adapter for each thing.
It's an ingenious marketing plan.
It is. It's brilliant. Well done, guys. And if you'd like to sponsor the podcast, just email us at abouttobreakpodcast@gmail.com. So, Bruce, you're growing up, and you were saying you didn't know financially how your family, where your family was at. You didn't really have all this exposure to the outside world. When was the first time? I mean, now you're a world traveler. When was the first time you remember stepping outside of what was, comfortable or home and going, wow, the world's bigger than I thought it was?
Well, I'm not really sure. I guess probably associated with college.
Okay.
I know that I did some traveling in the area, the region, Virginia, North Carolina, and South Carolina.
Yeah.
I did some speaking, high school, late high school and college. But when I went to college, I ended up making friends with people from other places. And I remember one time a buddy invited me to go to his house for the weekend.
Yeah. And
it was a big old farmhouse. And as we're driving up, I'm looking at it because I never lived anything like that. It was amazing. And had all these cows and, land and all this kind of stuff. And he said something about his dad growing up there. And I'm like, what are you talking about? It was the first time that I realized people actually lived in the same house all their life.
Because you had moved so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And so it was like, for me, normal life was moving.
Right.
And I have people say, I don't know how you did that. Well, I didn't know any different. It was what we did. And so it was an awakening, a shock, sort of, that here's a guy who grew up and lived in the same house all his life.
Yeah.
Poor guy. He didn't get to experience what I did.
Wow.
Wow.
Do you think that's some of why now with your schedule and being able to because in our little circle of friends and all of us travel a lot, everyone looks at Bruce and goes, how do you do it, man? How do you, but you do it and you do it well and you make it seem effortlessly. Do you think it's a lot of that as you just grew up kind of always on the move, always being flexible, always knowing that at any moment it's time to go?
Maybe, I don't know. I think for me personally, the bigger issue has to do with how much I passionately love what I get to do.
Yeah.
Taylor, I can't imagine that anybody has ever loved what they do more than I do.
I would agree with that.
My only regret, if I have one, and I'm not sure I regret it, I wish I had found this sooner. I've loved everything I've ever done.
Yeah.
There's never been a time when I didn't love what I was doing. But it was sort of like when Emily was born, my daughter. I loved every stage of her development more than the one before.
Right.
When she started running down the hall and throwing her arms open and saying, "Daddy," it's like, that is the greatest thing in life. And then 25 years later, she called me one Thursday and she was living in Nebraska. And she said, "Dad, I can get tickets to the football game on Saturday if you want to come up and go to the Nebraska football game."
Yeah.
Now, when your 26, 27-year-old daughter calls you and says, "You want to go to a football game with me?" You drive 9 hours and you go to the football game. And I did. And I would do it again in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Because I've loved every space, every section, every developmental stage more than the one before. I I hear people talk about, man, I wish they'd stay babies.
Right.
I'm so glad they don't.
Right.
Because my daughter is not only, you have to forgive me if I get emotional.
No, you and I both, man.
She's just an incredible young woman.
Mm-hmm.
And I love her. She's a friend. I admire her as an adult, as a person.
Yeah.
Who she is. And a story I love to tell about her growing up is she was in kindergarten, actually. This is a kid who is Miss Social.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what anybody's doing. She wants to be a part of it. And she's always been that way. And so in kindergarten, they offered the kids a chance to run cross country.
Okay.
Can't you see kindergartners running cross country?
No.
Yeah. And so they only had 2 meets. And I think it was the second one. She takes off running, and it's at this high school. And they basically go out, the edge of a tree line, and they've got this big long circle kind of thing that they run. And when she hit the tree line, she hit a root in the ground, and it caused her ankle to turn, and she went down.
Oh, kindergarten.
Yeah.
Oh,
and I went out there to her.
Yeah.
And she's crying, and I say, "Come on, baby, and I'll pick you up and I'll take you back, and we'll go."
Yeah.
And she's like, "No, Dad, I got to finish the race." Oh man.
Yeah.
And I don't think I could have been more proud that here she is. She didn't come in last either. She
wow.
With a hurt ankle, she came in next to last, but she didn't come in last.
Wow.
But she finished the race. And that persistence and perseverance has been a characteristic of hers all of her life. And so now she's doing a job that requires her to do some really hard things. And she's staying with it, knowing that the payoff will come.
Right.
But she's staying with it because she knows the payoff will come. And I'm just really proud of her. She and her husband are 2 incredible young people.
I was telling Katie the other day, and we talk about it all the time, how grateful we are for our kids. I mean, yeah, there's times when they're honoring to you or when they're arguing or fighting with each other. And then there's other times where you just look at your wife and go, we live among greatness.
Yeah.
How in the world are these little humans ours? Like, it's phenomenal.
Yeah. Sometimes I think about how culture, society, people have developed through the years. And you think about, we idolize or immortalize historical characters.
Right.
You think about Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah.
I mean, most people would think he's almost infallible.
Right.
Well, the truth is he struggled with depression, and, the guy had lots of problems.
Yeah. He's not bulletproof.
No.
Yeah. Well, I didn't mean it that way. I didn't mean it.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's horrible.
Yeah. That probably ought to end up on the internet.
Yeah. We look at historical figures and we feel like, oh, they had it all perfect. But we forget that history is written skewed. It's written to make everybody look better than they are.
Absolutely. Well, I'm a lot better in my mind than I was back then, back then.
Right.
Too. So, but anyway, I think, as people have come along, think about the developments that each generation has brought. I mean, you think about the industrial age.
Right.
I mean, that's incredible what happened as a result of that. And then you think about the technology age and you wonder what's next.
Yeah.
And it's like every generation is a little smarter.
Right.
And a little better.
Yeah.
We live in a time where everybody's cynical and there's a lot of divisiveness and all that kind of stuff. And, I understand. I get that. But last weekend, I had the privilege of hearing former President George W. Bush at our weekend, and he was interviewed by one of the people, and somebody asked him a question about really, I mean, basically what they were asking was, do you think America will survive where we are? And he's like, I graduated from college in 1968. Do you remember civil rights?
Mm.
Do you remember Kent State?
Right.
Do you remember the turbulence that we were going through? Do you remember Richard Nixon lying to the country? And do you remember Vietnam and our soldiers coming home and getting spit on? And do you remember? And he just started listing this litany of places we've been as a nation. Mm-hmm. He said, the institution is stronger than the problems that it faces. And I thought that is a really cool perspective.
Yeah, we were talking just today at lunch with our girls. Katie she's obsessed with history. And when she was a kid, she thought she struggled with reading and reading comprehension and things like that. And so for her whole life, she just thought, well, I'm not a reader. And about 4 years ago, she picked up a book that she was really into. And she hasn't put books down. I mean, she's got 4 novels in her backpack right now, and we were talking because one of the books she's reading right now is The Help, and talking to our girls about, the civil rights movement and the way life was and the way life still is in certain places for people, and different mindsets that are unhealthy. And then we were talking recently about, trying to explain to our 10 and 13-year-old about the Holocaust.
Oh man.
Because they're reading about the war for school and all this stuff. And talking to them and then having my daughters go, that was like 70 years ago, the Holocaust, civil rights, like this stuff. We think that we're so far advanced and yet we're really not.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the big dangers of today with technology and all the great things is that we can assume that we're further away from some of these mistakes and some of these mindsets than we really are.
Yeah.
We think, that was olden days, but it's like, one of the challenges of our nation's very young, and you think like the average person lives to, 80, 90 years old. Like, you're talking 3 grandmas back to back is how old our entire country is.
Yeah.
So it's important that we don't lose sight of taking care of people.
Yeah. I was thinking, I heard somebody talking, and I was thinking just the other day about civil rights and how that was only 100 years removed from the Civil War. I mean, think about that.
Yeah.
I say it was only 100 years, but it was 100 years.
Right.
Those people, Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves in, what was it, 1864?
Right. And 100 years later,
they're fighting for their freedom.
It's crazy.
They're fighting for the right to be human. They're fighting for the right to be accepted as an equal in society. The right to vote, the right to ride at the same seat on the bus. Angela and I were in Atlanta not long ago, and we went to the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial and area down there. And, I lived through that stuff. I remember Dr. King and hearing him speak, and one of the most powerful speakers ever.
Yeah.
The guy could create a visual image in your mind that was just powerful, incredible. I remember when John Kennedy was shot, watching it on television. I remember when Robert Kennedy was shot. I remember when Martin Luther King was shot. I've been to the Lorraine Motel. They've turned it into a civil rights museum.
Right, yeah.
And, all that made a huge impact on my life and on my values.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it begs the question, what are we doing with what, the experiences we've had? And are we making the most of, are we learning from the past, or are we repeating it? And I think this goes into why you love what you do so much. I mean, your role is really, you want to talk about what you guys do with partnering with nonprofits and with educational institutions and.
We have the privilege to partner with people, with organizations that are literally changing people's lives. Everything from a ship that docks on the west coast of Africa and provides free first world medicine to people who've never even thought about the possibility of having, this huge thing on the side of their face removed, or, and in many of these cultures like that, to have that kind of deformity causes you to be ostracized. And to have that opportunity to be normal. Mm-hmm. What a great opportunity for me. What a blessing for me to have a little part in that.
Right.
We're with a great college this weekend, mm-hmm. who's doing a phenomenal job. And these guys think outside the box. They're not educational snobs.
Right.
They are an organization that's looking to provide an opportunity for people to get a first-class education who might not otherwise get it.
Right. And most of these organizations I would say all of these organizations that you're working with, because the realm you work in is the fundraising aspect, is providing them resources to do what they do.
Right.
And one of the challenges for any sort of nonprofit is, you exist for a very specific purpose, whether it's to help people who need medical assistance in third world countries, or it's to build wells for clean drinking water, or it's to provide education to young people. But a lot of these institutions get stuck on having to spend so much time and energy and resource just raising money to be able to go out and do the thing they exist to do. Yeah. And so you guys help find them partners of people who want to invest in the work that these folks are doing. And it's incredible.
Yeah, we help them do it. Well, I don't ever want it to sound like that I'm implying that people aren't doing a good job. Mm. But we have developed a model through 17 years of work and progress and study and improvement and research in cultivating a model that helps organizations take their current givers and deepen that relationship with them in a way that is so significant that they become literally partners with them in helping them fulfill their mission.
Yeah.
And it's not rocket science, but it is a science.
Right. Absolutely.
And we employ all of the best practices around that in pulling this off, and the results are incredible.
Yeah.
When an organization follows the model, when they will do the things that we recommend them to do, and I don't mean to sound, authoritative in that, but we've done them 360 plus times.
Right. And, because and I don't want to interrupt you, but it is okay to speak authoritatively with it. And I tell performers this all the time who, guys like what I do is we go in and we do these same type of events that an organization or a company might be doing once a year or every 3 years.
Yeah.
And one of the things that they need to realize when they hire you or they hire a professional speaker or entertainer is you're also getting with that the knowledge of we do this every night of the year.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess some of my biggest frustration is when people hire us,
right,
pay us to do the job, and then don't let us do it.
Don't let us do the job. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, okay, I'm going to pay you the money, but I really know better than you do.
And then get frustrated when it doesn't work after they change the game.
Right. Yeah. But when people, this organization this weekend, they've done it right.
Yeah.
And they are going to be very successful. Mm. I'm really excited. We've just gone over $800 million. I think we're at like $803 million.
In 17 years.
In 17 years.
$800 million raised.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And you had fun doing it.
Oh, man. People sometimes will say, Bruce, when are you going to retire? You used to say it a lot, but I think I've pretty much shut everybody down.
You shut them all down?
Yeah. But it's like, what am I going to retire from? Mm. I don't work. Mm. I'm having a blast.
Yeah.
I stay in great places. I eat great food. I hear great speakers and great musicians, and I hang out with cool people in cool places. What of that would I want to give up?
Yeah.
I get to hang out with Taylor Hughes.
I hope you're enjoying this episode of the About to Break podcast. 3 quick ways that you can help us out here at About to Break. The first one is to go on iTunes and leave us a review. If you enjoy the program, please leave us a 5-star review. Big thank you to everyone who's already done that. If you haven't yet, please jump over to iTunes. You'll need your iTunes account information. But you can click on the podcast, leave us a 5-star review. Just leave us a 1 or 2 sentence little blurb there. Let people know what you like about it. That helps us out huge. Second way you can help us at About to Break is by becoming a producer. Our goal is to have 1,000 people giving at least $1 a month to help offset the cost of producing these shows. And it does take time. And it is a passion project. I will continue putting these out for free because I think it's a helpful conversation. But anything you can do to help us out by producing the show would be awesome. Go over to abouttobreakpodcast.com, click on Become a Producer, and see what that's all about. Last thing that you can do, and this one is also a real simple way of making a difference, is just sharing the podcast. All right, when you see it out there on social media, on Instagram, Facebook, go ahead and follow along and then share it with your friends. Let someone else know how much you liked it because it sure does make a difference. All right, back to the program.
There is nothing about what I do that I think of as work.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah, that's good, man. That's good. I mean, that's the old saying, right? Is you're supposed to do something that you love and you won't work a day in your life. And I love the way B.B. King used to say it about, he asked about what people say, why do they pay you this much money to do it? He's like, the shows are free. They pay me to travel. He's like, I get paid to travel professionally. he'd be playing whether someone was listening or not.
Yeah, I would never want to tell the guy that founded our company, Bob Westfall, that, if I'd had the opportunity, I'd have probably done this for free.
Right. Yeah. That's incredible. I think that's a common thing with people who are using a gift or a skill or something they really feel passionate about. You know, I feel like that's when you know you're in the zone and you're doing the thing that you should be doing. Mm-hmm. Is when it doesn't feel like a job. Yeah. You know, for me, the job is just keeping work coming so I can do the thing I want to do. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. But the shows, that's the fun part. Yeah. Every now and then you have a rough night, but. Now, I got to ask you this because we have a lot of entertainers that listen to the show, and you have some pretty fun experiences. I mean, before you got into all this, which is incredible, was it high school or college when you met Johnny Cash?
Oh, it was college.
Can we talk about Johnny Cash a little bit?
Yeah, that was a fun experience. I went to Gardner Webb College, which is now a university, and worked on the.
Was this in North Carolina?
Yeah, okay. It's right on the border of North and South Carolina. It's kind of a rural area outside of Shelby, North Carolina. Okay. And Johnny Cash made a movie called The Gospel Road. Now, I'm glad he's not around to hear what I'm about to say, but it was like the worst movie ever. Imagine June Carter Cash as being Mary Magdalene.
Really? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And she was in it as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was awful.
Oh, Johnny.
He debuted the film, premiered it in Charlotte, North Carolina. Okay. I'm not sure what the connection was to the college, but he decided to donate the proceeds from the premiere to the college. Okay. And they wanted to do something to express appreciation. So they did all these kinds of little get-togethers and bringing major donors in and that sort of thing. But they thought it would be really cool to give him a bodyguard. Okay. From the school. Yeah. Weird, I know, but yeah. So, I mean, when I think about it, I'm like, this is crazy. Yeah. But so I got a call from the president's office. You're what, like 20 years old at the time? 19 or 20. 19, yeah. Okay. And I got a call from the president's office and to come to his office for a meeting. And it wasn't uncommon for me to get a call from the president's office.
You're like, oh no, they found out about the last thing I did.
And I worked on campus security at that time. I was actually working 3 jobs and campus security was one of them. And so they called me in and told me they wanted me to be his bodyguard for the time he was in town, which was 3 days. And I'm like, I've never been a bodyguard. What does that mean? They said, we don't want you to do anything but act mean, look tough.
Just look tough.
Yeah. And so I said, well, I know how to do that. So
Yeah.
got to stay in, he had the penthouse of the hotel, and I got to stay in the room next to him and ride with him in the car, he and June Carter. And I just hung out with him for 3 days.
Yeah.
It was an incredible experience. It was at the premiere itself. They had the premiere in a theater, and it was at like an outbuilding at the mall.
Yeah.
And then we were going to walk across the parking lot to the mall for a reception.
Okay.
And I remember the guy who played Jesus was there.
Okay.
And stupid question, but I'm a 19, 20-year-old kid.
Right.
And I said, how did it feel to play the greatest man to ever live? And he looked at me and said, how do you think it felt? Just like that.
That's what he said.
Yeah. I don't know. I've never done it. But what happened was during the movie, I'm sitting next to Johnny, and during the movie, a Charlotte policeman came in and tapped me on the shoulder and asked me to come out. So I went out into the lobby, and I never got to see all the movie that night. I saw all of it later.
But what you saw,
Wish I had.
Like, this is not great.
No, it was awful. It wasn't even not great. It was awful. I don't recommend you go buy it.
Yeah. Right.
Or look it up on Netflix. It's probably not on Netflix, but anyway.
So you get the Charlotte police pull you out.
They call me out, and I go out in the lobby, and they say, we've received a telephone threat against Mr. Cash. What do you think we should do?
And you're 19 years old? You're like,
guys.
I was told to just look tough.
I said, you're the cops.
Yeah.
I'm the bodyguard. You tell me what to do.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, I think we ought to drive over to the reception instead of walking. We'd planned to walk across the hall. I'm good with that. Down with that. And they're like, okay, then we'll have a car take you all over there. Okay, cool. So I go back in and sit down into the movie. Johnny was like, what happened? So I told him, and he said, I'm not riding over there. We're walking. I said, it could be a guy on the top of the building with a gun.
Yeah.
He said, I don't care. We're walking. I'm not letting some idiot make me afraid to walk in this parking lot. Okay. So I tell the police we're going to walk.
Yeah.
And they're like, we can't guarantee your safety.
Yeah.
I said, I'm just telling you what the man told me.
Yeah.
They're like, okay. So they kind of formed a circle around us, and we walked across the parking lot. And we're about halfway across it. Johnny stopped, and he looked at me, and he said, what are you going to do if a shot rings out?
Yeah.
Well, I think he's serious.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I don't know. He said, well, just don't fall my way.
He didn't want you to fall on him.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was a great experience that I would have never dreamed that I would have had. But I'm thankful for it.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
What was it like going back to school and everybody knows that you got to be Johnny Cash's bodyguard?
I don't know that most people knew it.
No? You played it cool, man. I would have told everybody. I would have had shirts made.
Well, I really, at that point in my life, was not connected very strongly with the people in school.
Okay.
I worked 3 jobs.
Yeah.
I went to class from 8 to noon. And then I ate lunch really quick and worked on campus from 1 to 5. Ate dinner.
Yeah.
Ran into town, worked in a clothing store from 6 until 9.
Yeah. Came
back and worked on campus from 10 until 12. Sometimes 1.
Wow.
And I always wanted to be back in my room. Now, this is weird, I know, but this was in a time when television actually went off the air.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And TV was on a stand that rolled around, and it had rabbit ears.
Yep.
Okay. I wanted to be back in my room in time to hear the national anthem.
Oh, at the end of the night.
Yeah. And when TV went off.
Yeah.
And so I would run to my room, take my clothes off, so I'm ready for bed, stand up in the middle of my bed and direct the national anthem.
You would do this every night?
Every night. Fall into bed and go to sleep.
Oh, my goodness. What happened if you missed it? You'd be bummed?
Oh, I was really disappointed.
Yeah.
It was hard to go to sleep because I was, in my mind, the national anthem was playing.
Now, why did you have responsibilities at the time? Why did you have 3 jobs? Did you just?
I had to pay for school. I had a little scholarship when I went there in football, and that didn't work. We won 2 games out of 12.
Okay.
So it wasn't worth it. And the president's school came down after the last game, the one year that I played, and he said, "Boys, been a tough year."
Yeah.
And he said, "I'm really, really sorry that things have turned out the way they are."
Yeah.
Or way they have. But he said, "Next year we're going to have a winning season."
Wow.
Or the year after that,
yeah,
we're having soccer.
Really? He was just going to get rid of it.
Yeah. And
wow.
I'm thinking, I'd played on the state championship team before that.
Right.
It just losing. There's never been a time in my life I like losing.
Right.
And to lose 10 games out of 12.
Yeah. That's rough.
It's hard to get up when you know you're going to get, it's like playing Alabama every week.
Right.
You know you're going to lose.
Yeah.
The only question is how bad.
Yeah, and you just weren't down to do it. You just said time to focus on other things.
Yeah. So my school, the work I did on campus helped pay for my tuition and room and board, and the job that I worked at the clothing store helped pay my bills for living.
Wow. And then you went for a while. You were doing some stuff in film or TV or
yeah. I went to work. Well, there was a significantly difficult experience in my life when I went through a divorce, and it caused me to have to rethink my career. And so I ended up doing some recruiting for defense-related projects in defense contractors, and really enjoyed that. But the market kind of went away. Yeah. And so I went looking for another job and ended up with an opportunity to sell a movie program to hospitals from a movie distributor out of St. Louis, the largest non-theatrical film distributor out of St. Louis. And that whole industry was kind of interesting, the way it started and grew up. At one point, every major city around the country had a film distributor. And if you watched a movie in school, they typically got it from that company, 16 millimeter, kind of on a reel. And, people that are 40 years old listening to this, 30 years old, they're like 16 millimeter. But we were like the last guy standing. Wow. And we dominated the industry. And had created a program. The guy that founded the company started in 1938. And that was in a time when all those cities had one. And he started the company by looking to see, he went and looked in phone books and found out that St. Louis was the only major city that didn't have one. Yeah. And he was so creative and innovative in how to use that product to generate revenue. And one of the things was he realized that hospitals, during the time of the beginning of managed care, were competing with one another. And one of the ways he could help them to compete was to provide a movie channel on their closed circuit network in the hospitals. And, so this recruiter talking to me, he said, "I think you'd be a good fit for them." And I'm like, my wife's a nurse. Why would a hospital buy movies? Right. And when I walked out of the interview, I'm like, why would a hospital not buy it? This is the greatest thing since sliced cheese. I was sold, man. And it was fun because, the guy that founded the company, it was a very successful company. He told me when he hired me, he said, "Now don't expect to sell anything for 6 months." Really? And, yeah, because it was a long sales process. Yeah. Hospitals don't move quickly. And I was really fortunate that I sold one in 30 days. Oh, wow. And so had a great ride doing that. And then they promoted me to run that area. Eventually ended up as vice president of marketing and sales for the company. Oh, wow. And we provided films to colleges and universities, to hospitals, to cruise lines, buses, prisons, schools, any place that people watch movies outside of their home. with people, so if you wanted to show a movie at an event, you'd have to have a license or, a licensed copy of the film. Videos and DVDs have this thing on the front of it that says it's an FBI violation, or an FBI warning kind of thing if you use this in a group in a public setting. So, we that's what we did. And it was a tremendous experience. I loved every second of it. The man who started the company was a great mentor, and he had a unique ability of putting himself in the shoes of the person he was selling to and feel life the way they felt it. And that's an incredible gift.
Yeah.
Because if you know what the other person wants,
right.
His favorite saying to me was, find out what they want and figure out how to give it to them.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a buddy of mine who's another entertainer, and his whole thing was, what is the need that you're filling? What is the question you're answering?
Right.
You're not selling a show or a performance. You're selling them a solution to their challenge.
And one of the problems with salespeople is they want to sell their product, not a solution. And so they talk too much.
Yeah.
They don't listen enough.
Yeah.
And he taught me how to partner with the people that I'm talking to find out what helps them.
Yeah.
And then how can I use what I've got to solve their problem, to meet their need? And in some cases, it was just to make them look good.
Yeah.
Well,
performers who are listening right now, sorry, side note, I know not everyone who's listening is a performer, but if you're a performer and you're listening to this and you have a show that you're trying to get out there, this is gold. Because people don't care if you can do the coolest trick ever. They're hiring you to fit a need that they have. And if you don't know what that need is, you're not going to get the job.
Yeah.
And if you know what the need is, but you make it all about you and don't fulfill it, then you're not going to get it invited back.
Yeah, exactly. The partnering with somebody to help them meet their objective.
Yeah.
Is really rewarding. It was never about the money for me. Mm-hmm. It was always about the thrill of the close. Yeah. And it's like on the golf course.
Yeah.
It only takes one good shot around for me and it takes me back,
Okay.
If I hit one ball that goes down the center of the fairway and, 180, 200 yards, then I'm like, yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
The next 10 might be, sliced and diced, but I got one that it brings me back.
Hang on to that good one.
Yeah. I remember one time I was playing with some buddies down in at Sawgrass, which is a great course. And I don't remember what hole it was, but they were already on the green or up around the green. And I couldn't even see that it was elevated green. I couldn't even see the hole. Yeah. But I had probably a 70 or 80 yard chip that I needed to make.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they're jumping up and down and screaming. And I went up there and I had chipped it in the hole.
No way.
Now that's
sight unseen.
That was 20 plus years ago, but I still tell this.
You still hang on to it. That's great. Now, Bruce, I love that. I love it to hear you talk and say, even when you talk about Emily, your daughter, and you say, like, I loved when she was at this point and then she got to this point and I loved that moment. And I feel like hearing you talk about these different moments in your life and different careers you've had this ability to be present and engaged and enjoy the moment you're in and yet know that there are greater things ahead. What would you say to someone right now? Because we have a lot of people who are in business right now who are struggling to try to get something going or to get a breakthrough in an area. What did I say? Area in an area. What would you say to them right now? People who might, they know they're doing the thing they're supposed to be doing, but it's not clicking like it should. How have you found perseverance in the midst of I mean, just now you say the thing that you're doing now is the thing you wish you had done forever.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, Taylor. I don't think for me it's been something I really thought about. I never went looking for another promotion. And I've recently been given one. But there was never a time in my life when I set out to get that next job.
Yeah.
I had a point not that many years ago, and actually my daughter brought it up not long ago, and I didn't even know she was watching. But we had gone through a difficult period, and I was unemployed for a while, and was pastoring a church, a small church, just part-time. And so I had a little income coming in, but very little, and needed some additional income.
Yeah.
And when you've made substantial income, I applied it at McDonald's, and they're like, "We know you're not going to stay. We're not going to hire you." I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So there was a guy in a church who was actually president of Six Flags St. Louis. And I said, "Would you give me a job?" Because they're seasonal, so
right, yeah.
It was summertime, so he gave me a job, and I drove the train. I didn't drive it. I was a conductor on the train.
Oh, that's fun.
Around Six Flags for 2 or 3 months while I was looking for a job.
Yeah,
and needed some income.
Yeah,
and I loved it.
Yeah,
my boss was a little 16-year-old girl.
So funny,
but I got on the train. I had fun with the kids. I think it's the way I'm wired. That do what you have to do while you're doing it, but do it and do it the best you know how.
Right.
I think there's some elements to success. I think perseverance is a big element of success, but I think you can persevere doing the wrong thing.
Right.
And never succeed.
Yeah.
So you got to be sure you're doing the right thing. Some people don't want to listen to other people. And I've been really fortunate to have a couple mentors in my life that, 3 actually, that have been, hugely, impactful in my life. And I will be eternally grateful to them. One of them early in my business career, we had a sales training meeting or a training class every morning, 5 days a week, 7:00. I hated going into work at 7:00 in the morning, but we were there, and it was drilled into us the right things to do.
Right. And
one of the things we did was we read a book, and I highly recommend this book. It's called Seeds of Greatness.
Okay.
10 Keys to Success, but Seeds of Greatness is the name of it, written by a guy named Dennis Waitley.
Okay.
Waitley was the team psychologist for the Olympic team in maybe 1980.
Okay.
Mary Lou Retton was on his team, and he taught her and the other people there a methodology of success. And it was 2 elements of it. One was visualizing success. So you might remember her talking about, she would repeat over and over again, need a 10, got a 10, need a 10, got a 10. And she would, so if she's going to do the vault, she would visualize every step down the runway and where her hands would land on the, I guess it's called a vault.
Yeah.
And every twist and every turn and her landing.
Yeah.
And she would just live out what she saw in her head.
Right.
So visualizing success was the whole idea.
Yeah.
And if you rehearse it in your head, doing it the right way enough, your body will live out what you've rehearsed in your head.
That's interesting. I have a friend who does this. He's a magician. And if you go to see him do sound check, it's the most amazing thing, because he'll walk in, he'll sound check his mic, and then when the crew goes to take their break, he will walk through. If he's doing 30 minutes, he'll walk through point to point the entire thing and visualize it in his head. And I've never done that. I would get ADD halfway through it, but he does it. And I'm telling you, when he walks out there, he's told me it's like he's already done the thing.
Yeah.
It's already over.
Right.
He'll come back and be like, I know it's going to go great. I just did it.
Yeah.
Isn't that, to me, it's weird, but to him, that visualization really, it grounds him and kind of locks him in. And
yeah. Well, the other thing that Whately talks about in the book that was what really changed my life was what he calls self-talk. We are programmed to tell ourselves a story about ourselves. And much of that comes from the feedback we got from our parents and our teachers and those kinds of things. And frankly, if I lived out those things, I wouldn't be where I am today.
Yeah.
Every one of my report cards when I was in school, every one of them said, Bruce could do better if he applied himself.
Wow. But choosing to not identify now as that kid who was, someone else had an opinion of or whatever.
But as a kid, you're fed that. And so
right.
you most people live out that, you get
right.
programmed. That's who you are.
Right.
And so you live that out. And so Whately talks about reprogramming your computer, your whole operating system, by telling yourself a new story. And, one of the things that he talked about is writing down statements that you want to be.
Yeah.
Characteristics you want to have, behaviors you want to live out, that sort of thing. And reading them over again 5 times a day, out loud.
Yeah.
Now, you feel really stupid sitting in your car in the morning reading, I am a good person.
Yeah. It's like personal affirmations, things that are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I work hard. I do things well. People like me, etc. I eat healthy, whatever they may be. You feel really stupid doing that. But I want you to understand that over time, your brain begins to live that out.
Yeah.
So you literally reprogram your computer so that you become what you're telling yourself you are.
Yeah.
Now that sounds hokey, but it worked.
Yeah.
And there is nothing wrong with being a truck driver.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to be a truck driver. And I didn't want to be any of that. I wanted to be somebody that made a difference. And if I had told myself the story that I'd been programmed growing up, I wouldn't be sitting here.
Wow.
And so that was a huge help to me. So doing the right thing, the right way, the right number of times is the other key.
Yeah.
So I think there's something we should be doing. And there's a way to do it with excellence that sets us apart. This place you and I are in right now, the thing that sets it apart, the buildings are great and beautiful, and the furniture and all that kind of stuff. But what sets it apart is the level of excellence of the staff.
Right. Yeah.
I watched a banquet person last night walking down the hall with a tray of dirty dishes. There was a cricket on the floor. They leave the doors open because we're in the desert of Arizona. And a cricket had come in and she stepped on it.
Yeah.
And I think most people in most places would have walked on.
Yeah.
She stopped, took a napkin from the tray of dirty dishes she was carrying, picked up that dead cricket, put it on there, and took it off and disposed of it.
Yeah.
What an incredible example of the kind of care. One of the speakers this morning talked about the give a care quotient.
Right.
She gave a care.
Right.
And so doing it with a level of excellence, I told my daughter recently, always do more than they expect.
Yeah. Yep.
If you always give more than they expect, you will always get more than you expect.
Right. If you look on Yelp, any bad review you read for anything is it didn't meet someone's expectations. Right. And any good review is it exceeded someone's expectations.
Yeah.
So in whatever industry you're in, whether it's, the business side of things, whether it's on stage performing, whatever your role is, if you go in saying, I'm going to surpass expectations, you cannot get a negative review.
Right.
You can't. It's not possible.
I saw an ad just recently for a law firm. And they said, if we don't meet your expectations and serve you better than you expect, we'll give you your money back.
Wow. That's a lot more. That stands out a lot more than the lawyer you can trust.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really making a statement.
Yeah. You can take advantage of them. You
Right.
can say you didn't meet my expectation, get your money back. But that's the kind of service that draws people.
Right.
Nordstrom's used to, I don't know if they still do or not, but they used to have this thing. You can return
Anything.
anything to Nordstrom's anytime, whether you bought it there or not.
Right.
So I heard about this guy who took a set of tire chains in. They don't sell tire chains.
No.
But he took them to their service counter and said, I bought these here and I want my money back.
Yeah.
And because it was in Florida. And there's like, they don't sell chains. And they certainly don't sell them in Florida.
They don't sell anything in chains anywhere in Florida.
Yeah. So they're like, how much did you pay for them? And he said $100. And they gave him $100.
Yeah.
That was wrong of him to do that.
Right.
But, what a level of service and concern for your customer.
Yeah.
Is demonstrated by that's incredible.
It really goes back to the idea of, are you trying to, a lot of people think a job is to give me money, or a job is to, or even as a performer, I'm going to go before this audience so I can get something from them.
Yeah.
And as soon as you shift the mindset to going, how can I give them an opportunity to laugh?
Yeah.
How can I give this client a great experience for
Right.
their guests?
Right.
It makes all the difference in the world. Now, I'll be the first to admit, a lot of times I get grumpy and I get upset and I just think about how I feel and what happened to me, and I'm not thinking about, them. But whenever I shift my mentality, it's night and day. I'm happier, they're happier, the show goes better.
Yeah.
It really does come back to that. And that's one of the things that I've learned from you, is that you're always thinking about the other person, and always thinking about the client, and always thinking about the experience of the guest. And at the end of the day, that's where the joy comes back to you.
Yeah. You bet. I need to go again.
I was just talking about how,
Giving more than.
oh yeah. So it's giving, there's that old saying, it's better to give than receive. In business, it's the same way. If your mentality is, how can I make this a great experience for someone else, then the business side is going to work out.
Yeah. Well, Taylor, it's true of business. It's true of entertainers. It's true of service. It's true of ministers.
Yeah.
We've all experienced people that do their job as a job.
Right.
And you can tell when somebody does what they do, with a passion,
right,
with joy, with purpose.
Yeah.
I heard a girl the other day talking about, she's a small girl and young, and she's been in some responsible positions. And I said, how do you deal with, because my daughter has a young face,
right,
and she was talking about this recently. And I said, so how do you deal with being young, looking young, in a position where you had, and she said, I walk, I dress, and I talk with purpose.
Oh, wow.
That was cool.
That's strong. Yeah.
Yeah. That was really good.
Yeah.
And so you got to dig down inside to find that.
Mm-hmm.
If I bring in a speaker for one of our weekends and they just phone it in.
Yeah.
And you can tell, I've had guys that, they get up there and you can almost quote word for word. And there are times when they do it. There's not a problem with doing the same show over again.
Right.
There's a problem with doing the same show over again, but not carrying the second time.
Right. Yeah.
And you can tell.
You can definitely tell.
Yeah. Yeah. If it's not new to you,
yeah,
then it's not going to be new to us.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And one of the speakers that we use, Alistair Begg, Alistair spoke for me at an event, and he did three talks that were really meaningful to me personally. And so he and I were riding to the airport together afterwards, and I said, so Alistair, he was going to be with me in 2 weeks. I said, I'd love for you to do those same talks in 2 weeks. And he said, I don't do that. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
I mean, really?
Yeah.
And he said, no, I come up with new material every time.
Isn't that incredible?
I'm like, I didn't know anybody did that.
Yeah.
And then he came back in 2 weeks and he said, I hate you.
Why?
He said, I haven't been able to get that off my mind. So he did those three talks again. And they were just as good the second time because they were new and fresh to him.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, when you do your magic, it's like it's the first time you've ever done it. You know, when Adam is doing his comedy.
Yeah.
I've heard those jokes.
Yeah.
How many times?
Yeah.
You know, and I laugh every time because it's funny to him.
Yeah.
It's like he's telling a joke and it's the first time he's ever told it. And I love it.
Yeah. That freshness is important.
Absolutely.
People notice.
And it comes from inside of yourself.
Yeah.
I was blessed earlier today when the president of this college said to me, Bruce, you do what you do really well.
Yeah.
And I don't think about that because it comes from inside.
Yeah.
You know, I'm here to serve them. I want them to have a world-class experience. Yeah. And to feel like they got every penny that they paid for plus. Yep. And I've done lots of these events and they all pretty much look alike, but they're all new and they're all fresh. And that comes from inside and my passion about what I do.
It's so good, man. It's such a good reminder, you know, especially on the title of this show is About to Break, because it's, as performers, you know, you feel like you're this close to a breakthrough or this close to a mental breakdown. And so a lot of times on this program, I spend, you know, complaining about things and wishing they were different with other guys. And it's so refreshing and encouraging for you to share this perspective. And it's a good reminder to all of us that life is just better when you stop thinking about yourself so much. Start thinking about what you can do to help others. And even if someone hires you to come in to do something, that's just an opportunity to make their day better.
Yeah. Yeah. If it's about the money, don't do it.
Yeah, it's so good.
Because money is a tool. Mm-hmm. I heard an entertainer, Mark Lowry, say on a video yesterday that he did what he loved and the money came. Mm. Yeah. He said, I never did it for money. He said, I always thought I'd be sleeping on somebody's couch the rest of my life. But I did what I loved and the money came.
That's good. That's encouraging, man. Bruce, I love you, dude. Thank you for doing this. Thanks for taking the time to do this. And
well, I still can't believe anybody would care to listen to this, but
this is gold. This is gold. And I'm so glad that we took the time. And we talk about this kind of stuff constantly, but I'm glad we sat down with microphones and are letting other people eavesdrop on it.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm so excited that Katie's here this week. Yeah. And your lovely wife, Angela, is going to be here tomorrow, and we're going to get to hang out.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. I wish my daughter and her husband were going to be here.
I know.
But it'll be fun. I saw Katie and the girls this morning and hugged Katie's neck. The girls, I think that was the first time I've met them, and so they were a little bit like, who is this guy? But it's going to be fun, and I'm looking forward to it. And Taylor, I just appreciate you and your friendship, and thanks for having me.
Thank you, my friend. All right, I'm going to turn this off. We can keep talking.